Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to Rob the Mic for episode 23. So, to kickstart the episode, I wanted to jump into something that was pretty prevalent in last week's episode. And pretty sure most of you guys know what I'm going to talk about, especially if I'm saying that. So, the number one thing that we talked about last week was grounding. And the funny / not so funny thing about it is that almost immediately after I posted that, I had to practice it the entire fucking day. And I know I was talking to you guys about practicing that technique daily. For some reason, actually not for some reason, I know exactly what the reasons are, but it hit really fucking hard last week. And the weird thing about it is that I'm not going to say it was like the theme of the week, but for some reason after Wednesday, every single day I had to talk about it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it was about what was going on with myself, whether if it was like a friend of mine that was being affected by something. For some reason, grounding was extremely important last week. And it was fucking weird the way it happened. I'm telling you guys, like, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, so Wednesday afternoon, I got a call from my uncle, and I couldn't tell if like he wasn't feeling very good, or if he had received some news, or if something was going on, but he sounded kind of off. And he was asking me if the next day, so Thursday, if my mom and I were going to be available to come over, because he wanted to talk to us about something. And again, it's kind of hard to tell because sometimes he sounds really bad based on the amount of pain that he's experiencing because of his cancer and the treatments and so forth. So it's kind of hard because I've had moments with him where he's like, hey, dude, can you come to the house? Like, I got to talk to you about something. I'm over here thinking the worst. And it's literally something simple about his business. Like if I can help out on a certain day or whatever's going on. So I never really know. But either way, I started to spiral. Like I felt something kind of weird about it. And it's also, see, that's another recurring thing that we keep talking about, right? Is kind of listening to your gut, going with your instincts. And I felt like something was kind of off. But I wasn't trying to let that not ruin what like my day and things like that, but I wasn't trying to let it overtake everything, because it's the same thing again, like we've been talking about. When you let yourself go down that hole, it tends to go really, really deep. And sometimes it's really hard to get back out. Even when you start to get moments where you can kind of come back out of the hole, it's like you're just too far down in the chasm, and like there's no way to get back. So I had to practice it super hard on Wednesday. And I remember I was talking to my mom about it because I was like, hey, your brother wants us to go over. He wants to talk about some stuff. But the thing about that was the next day, so on Thursday, my mom was going to have cataract surgery. So that was a whole other thing. Like I didn't know how she was going to feel. I didn't know what her recovery was going to be like. It's one of those things that's kind of unknown. Like you can kind of have an idea what the recovery is going to be, but either way, it's really difficult to know and understand, or basically be able to expect, like, I'm going to be out at this time and this is how I'm going to feel. Like it's not this kind of surgery, because especially with anything regarding like your eyes, like any ocular type of thing, it's very, very, very sensitive, and you have to be super careful, right? Like that's one thing, dude, especially for myself. Like, you know what? If my arm hurts, or if like my back's fucked up, I can kind of deal with it. If I'm feeling sick, I kind of deal with it. But the eyes, fuck, man, that's one thing I don't play with. If I get something in my eye, or something goes down, or I feel kind of weird about it, all of a sudden I can't see, or some bullshit, I'm immediately going to the doctor, because I'm not a fucking eye doctor. I don't know what's going on. For the most part, everything else, you can take something for it. If you're in pain or just rest or whatever, you're probably going to be all right. For the most part. Don't fucking quote me on that shit. But with your eyes, completely different story. So I didn't know how she was going to be. Fast forward to Thursday. I had already, on top of everything else that was going on, I was a little bit stressed with some personal situations that I had. So coming into my mom's surgery, I was kind of like, fuck, man. It's just, not that it was too much, but it started to become too much. So I dropped my mom off at the surgery, because the thing is, I couldn't go into the room with her, into the OR, I think that's what it's called. But couldn't go into the room during prep or anything. So they basically had me drop her off And that was it, right? So I had some hours to myself. And I ended up just coming back to the house. I was like, I cleaned up her room, made sure everything was like dust free, cleaned up everything in the house. And during that time, I had to continuously ground myself. So it was like 3-4 hours of just straight, yo, like, you're right here. You're cleaning right now. You're doing this right now. This is what you're doing right now. You have no say in what's in front of you, and you for sure don't have a say of what's behind you because that shit's already happened. So as I'm going through the day, worried about my mom, worried about how the surgery is going to go, because at the end of the day, it's a really, really delicate surgery. And the way the doctor was explaining it, he's like, dude, honestly, it's going to be fine. He's like, but understand that the negatives and the risks are very high. Like if something does go wrong, even after the surgery, because things can go wrong after the surgery, if there's infection, anything like that, there is a possibility that you can go blind. And I'm like, son of a bitch, dude. So I'm over here thinking about that shit, right? Trying to process my mom, process my personal situation, and at the same time process the talk that I'm about to have with my uncle and his wife later on. Because again, I don't know what's going on. And I didn't want to get too caught up in what I was thinking, what I was kind of feeling, because then I'll jump to a conclusion. And y'all already know how that shit goes. You already know. So the thing is, thankfully, everything went well with my mom's surgery. It was like ideal, essentially. So I go pick her up, get her back home. I get her some food, get her all, taken care of. And then I think it was like around 6 or something like that, some shit. It was like later in the afternoon. I dip out, go to my uncle's. And again, I'm kind of feeling like butterflies, feel a little bit weird. Get there. And then the mood's interesting when I get there because he's watching Tombstone, which for those of you guys who don't know what Tombstone is, it's like an older, I'm not going to say old, but older, like Western cowboy film. 10 out of 10 recommend. Watch it. It's pretty fucking great. So he's watching that. They're just kind of chilling. You go to the restroom and come back and he's like, all right, dude, so we got to talk. And I was like, fuck. And the way that he said it right then and there, when I'm in person, I'm like, fuck, here we go. Like whatever it is, there's no seatbelt or anything that could fucking hold me in this seat because I know this shit's going to be bad. And long story short, the chemo and the radiation didn't do anything. And the cancer has actually spread to a certain extent. And it hit really fucking hard, right? Because the whole situation's been very real for us. It's never been a game, especially for my mom, myself, and a couple other people on the outside. Like, we understand that it's not a game, and he's been trying to be as positive, and I don't even know how else you can say, like, just, like, kind of turning a blind eye to the situation. But now it's very fucking real because both the chemo and the radiation treatments that he has undergone are the most intense that you can do, because there's different levels of radiation, there's different levels of chemo. Those of you who have dealt with cancer before, you probably know what I'm talking about. But basically where we're at is we've maxed out. So we're going to be moving to a different hospital with like a different doctor who's going to be accepting the case, because this isn't a typical cancer case. And I'm not saying that other cancers are typical, but there are typical cases where, for example, if it is breast cancer, it follows, these things within breast cancer. And there are certain things they can do to move about the cancer itself. Same thing with prostate cancer. There's things they can move about that, or if it's in your throat, but things like that, lung cancer, there's different ways to manage each one. But the thing is that the way that this thing is moving and how it's affecting him is the most foreign possible thing to wrap my head around. And for myself, for doctors, everything. So no one knows what the fuck is going on. Long story short, there's a doctor at another hospital at City of Hope that, as of yesterday, has officially accepted his case. So we are going to go this route. We're going to try what's called immunotherapy, which can be done a bunch of different ways. So I don't have any details. I don't have anything about anything. All I know is that we're going to try this next step and we're going to push forward. And the reason why I say we is because I feel like before, a lot of the fight was being fought by my uncle and his wife. And it was like a very, not like, I'm not gonna say very personal thing, but at the same time, it was very like personal. They kept it between like an A and B situation. But the matter of the fact is that now this is no longer an A and B situation. This is an A through Z situation. Because the amount of support, love, positivity, everything that's needed now is very fucking serious. Like, this shit isn't a game anymore. As if he wasn't already fighting for his life, this motherfucker's about to, he's going up. Like, he's going up to bat pretty soon. And right now, I mean, he's prepping up. That's the way I see it. So we're gonna hit the next round of the fight, and hopefully things pan out. But the thing where I'm trying to get to with all this whole situation, is that during the conversation, granted, it was very fucking difficult to have. And I think even right now, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm not going to say I don't have tears to cry, because I definitely do. But I think I cried so fucking much the entire weekend. I'm like cried out in a sense. Like I don't know. Like not that I don't have anything else to give, but I'm kind of worn out. Like I honestly am. There's certain things again that will trigger it, but it's just like, just wrecked about it. But as we were sitting there talking, one thing I had to do with my aunt, especially because we're sitting there on the couch. I remember this part of the situation. We're sitting there on the couch, and my uncle went to go make a burrito, and she started talking, and she was kind of spiraling a little bit. So I had to like tell her, I was like, hey, something that you're going to have to start practicing is something that I practice right now. And it's really fucking important to do that. And she's like, what is that? I said, grounding. So this was kind of the start of how grounding played into the entire weekend, because it did. Every single day it played into it. But she started basically going off about everything that's happening, right? How she's going to deal with the kids, how she's going to deal with everything, how to manage it, how to manage it, who's going to know, what are we going to do? But I'm like, bro, you don't have control over anything. Nothing. There's nothing that you can do about a goddamn thing. All you can worry about is right now. And what I mean by right now is the fact that you and I are sitting on this couch having this conversation, that my uncle's over here making a burrito, and that he's going to eat right now. And that Tombstone's finishing, and it's about to be the Magnificent Seven or whatever the fuck it's called. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. So this is what's important. This moment right now. And the fact that you can't take this for granted. That we are able to do this at this exact moment. The three of us chilling out, getting to watch a movie. And honestly, the simple fact that he's even able to eat. Because he has his moments where he can't. He just physically can't. Either because he's like super nauseous, because he's in like a heavy amount of pain, anything. So I'm like, look, all of this in itself is fucking phenomenal. And we got to run with it. However the fuck we can, we got to run with it. So as I'm talking to both her and my uncle, they're both kind of understanding. Because it's not that we don't have these kinds of talks, you know what I mean? But I think especially having gone through, like, let's say the last, maybe March, April, May, June, July. Let's say almost 6 months. Maybe maybe a little bit more than 6 months. Because I started the self-work journey even before I started therapy. But I'd say in the last 6 months, things have definitely changed. The way that I process information, the way that I navigate life, the way that I talk to people. Not that like it was bad before, but I definitely talk to people in a different way now. I definitely manage conversations, relationships, all of that shit very, very different now compared to how I managed it before. So if there's something that I can do to help somebody to understand, help and or process the information that they're receiving, then I'm gonna fucking do that. Am I a master of it? By no fucking means. I'm far from that shit. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. 98.565 for whatever fucking percentage. The highest fucking percentage that's not 100. like 99 point whatever the fuck percent of the time, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out on a daily basis because it's all I can handle. It is all I can fucking handle. Like this right now, recording this podcast, this is all I can handle at the moment. I don't know what's going on. Anything else, nothing matters right now. I got to handle this section of time. And once I'm done with this section of time, then I'll deal with the next block. And then I'll deal with the next block and the next block and so on and so forth. That's all I got. So as I was talking to both of them about this, it started to click a little bit. And they were like, shit, you're right. You're right. There's nothing we can do about anything. We got to run it the way we can. And just take these moments and run with them. So the hard thing about that was having to deal with it on my own, because I couldn't take my mom with me because I was afraid that the crying would irritate her eye. And I didn't want there to be any sort of like overhydration and somehow like the lens that they put in that it would reject or something like that. So I couldn't tell my mom until the next day. And what made it really difficult is, again, having to deal with it alone for a couple hours. And those couple hours felt like a goddamn eternity. It was the fucking worst. Like, it was the worst. So once I got the okay from her doctors, we started asking all these questions about my mom's surgery and all this whatnot. And I asked a weird question. I was just like, hey, there's a lot going on in our family right now. Is it okay? Like, is her crying going to be an issue? And I was like, and I know that's a weird question. He goes, no, it's not. Honestly, he's like, it's completely fine. Completely fine. He's like, as long as she doesn't like rub her eye, and the doctor was telling me too, he goes, dude, in general, you should never like rub your eyes, because if there's any debris in your eyelids or anything like that, you can scratch a cornea. It's a whole fucking situation. So I was like, all right, noted. So when I got home, or when we got home the next day, so Friday, once we got home from my mom's appointment in the morning, I broke the news to her, and she took it really, really well. But I also think it's because of the time that I had to process the information. And granted, did I cry? Of course I did. But I think it's because of how I was able to process the information, and give it to her. It was definitely a lot more manageable compared to how I received the news and how things went Thursday. And it's really fucking difficult, man, when you feel that way. And I know even probably after this episode airs and some people listen to it, some people watch it, they're going to be like, yo, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you fucking this? Why didn't you that? And it's because it's not, granted, right now, of course, I'm speaking on this subject in a public platform. But at the time, there really wasn't anything anyone could say, or anyone that I wanted to talk to. There's maybe like one person or two people, and one of those people just so happened to be my mom. And the other person, for other reasons, I wasn't able to speak with. So again, it was really shitty. But once I was able to kind of share that, it felt like, okay, now we're starting to build an army. Things are starting to get better. And then I talked to my buddy Albert, talked to him about the situation. I said, okay, this is what's up. Because he's my brother, dude. Like, at the end of the day, I share everything with Albert. There's no walls. There's no nothing. Like, this is what we talk about. He knows everything on my end. And I don't expect for it to be the same way. But my whole thing is that I feel comfortable with him. And I can share these things with him in like the most candid arena. And I did the same thing on Saturday when I went to Moon Eyes. Because granted, I've been taking care of my mom the past few days, but I've been able to, if I can step away for a little bit, I do try to step away for a little bit. So Saturday, the first half of Saturday, I was able to step away for a little while. And I was able to meet up with a bunch of friends, go enjoy Moon Eyes. And I was talking to Julian about the situation, which is another good friend of mine, which I know I've talked about him before on the show too. When I went to G-Side in the Valley, he was one of the people that was there with me. So shouts to fucking Julian. Love you, dude. And man, the stuff that was talked about on Saturday was pretty nutty too. But overall, I think where we're at now is just that we're able to disperse the load and that we're all going to be carrying it as a family. We're all going to be walking together as a family. Granted, not everybody, because not everybody knows. I think when we have a little bit more answers, then maybe we'll start talking to certain people. But as of right now, we're trying to keep it tight, but just kind of spread the info a little bit more. So it's a weird situation, super weird. But on Friday, I got to spend some time with my uncle too. Like once I got back with my mom and everything, he was like, hey, can you take me to go run some errands? So the thing is, and one thing I wanted to kind of mention before I jump into like the stuff over the weekend is just kind of taking the small things for granted and how much we do take those things for granted. Even if it's as simple as a car ride to to Target or something like that. When you're with people that you care about, don't take that shit for granted, because there may come a time where you're never going to have that again. You're never going to have that drive to Target ever again. You're never going to have lunch with this person again. You're never going to sit and be with this person, exist and breathe the same air never again. And when he hit me up, I was like, okay, yeah, let's go do some shit. So I went, took him to go run some errands, and we're just kind of enjoying the day. I have been talking to him about going to the spot called Ramona's, which is in Gardena. It's a Mexican food place. It's really fucking good. It's been around since fucking forever. And I was like, man, a Ramona's burrito sounds bomb. And he knows that. He knows I love Ramona's. So turns out they opened one in Long Beach, which is pretty cool. And we dipped over to Ramona's after, went back to his house, kicking back, chilling. And I was the entire day as we're going about everything, running around making deliveries, I was just enjoying that shit. You know, I took some music with me. Like I have this little like Bluetooth adapter thing, because in his truck he has a Titan and it doesn't have Bluetooth. So if I plug in this little guy into the auxiliary, it's Bluetooth, you know? Because I was like, yo, we're not about to be running around on a Friday and have some shit music. So threw on some good jams, you know, had playing all kinds of shit, dude. All kinds of shit, which was rad. And he loved all of it. From hip hop shit like Larry June up to, you know, 80s, like just everything, playing all kinds of stuff, everything in between. And we start talking about music. We start talking about all kinds of shit. And I think just kind of holding on to those moments and really taking them for what they are, that's what's important. And again, those are constant things that I use as grounding mechanisms to remind me, like, this right now, this is the only thing that I can take care of. This is the only thing I can handle right now. This is all that's in my power, is how I manage my time with my uncle in this car and us running around. So I really carried that into the rest of my weekend. And I'm really thankful that I did, because I think it made the weekend that much more meaningful, especially the rest of the night, like the rest of Friday night and Saturday. Because I started to just kind of look at things and, again, be super grateful, man. Like, just kind of step back and be like, fuck, dude. Like, my mom just had surgery, and thankfully everything went well. Her recovery's been going very, very well. And hopefully it continues to go that way. We still have a couple weeks of it, but that went well. It could have went the polar opposite direction. She could have got an eye infection. Shit could have went down, and it hasn't. I was able to have dinner with her on Friday. So I got to spend time, like Friday, I got to spend time with my uncle, who I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in his whole situation, but I got to enjoy hours with him. Not like 10 minutes. I got to enjoy hours with him and laugh and talk and do all kinds of bullshit. And then at the same token, I got to spend time with my mom's later at night, have some dinner, chill out, and just enjoy that. And I was like, fuck, man, this is good. This is good shit. And again, it's small moments, taking the small moments and running with them, whether it's watching a movie, anything like that, and really enjoying each other's company and all of it. So coming into Saturday, I was feeling good. You know, Friday night, I washed the car because I was going to take the Q out to Moon Eyes. And Saturday, I was feeling good. I met up with Sid and Julian here at my house before we dipped out to Moon. And we pulled up heavy. And even that, it felt good. You know, I was blasting the jams, the same list that I talked to you guys about, like when I went to Scam and Jam, like the Summer Jam playlist. Woo, that shit was, I had that shit on a billion in the car. I was blasting. Just so fools can know, like, hey, we're about this shit too, right? Like, granted, completely different platforms, you know, no lowriders, no classics, nothing like that, but we still hold it down on our end too. So pulled up, chilled out. It was great because my buddy Josh was there. And granted, we go every year. I think there's only been 1 year that we missed it, but overall, it was fucking incredible. That entire first half of the day was so fucking great. So I was able to spend time with my homies, make memories, laugh, chill out, and get to look at beautiful cars, which, of course, as you guys know, if you don't already, if this is your first time, I'm sure you're going to find out. But cars are a massive part of my life. I love them. I really do. I love what they bring. I love the amount of detail, time that gets put into certain vehicles, especially on this side. When it comes to like lowriders and things like that, that's where my heart's at. And granted, I love Japanese cars and I'm super into that shit too, but it doesn't hit the same way, like, because it's very nostalgic for me, because I grew up with classic cars on the American side and lowriders. Like, that's what I came up with. Granted, I had Japanese with me too the entire time, especially because of my uncle, like Japanese and Euro, because he always had like cars between the two. But I was always around that shit. So it's very nostalgic. It makes me feel good. So getting to share that with my homies was incredible. And one thing that I was really adamant about, especially for that next day, is I was like, hey, I need to focus more on like what's important to me, why it's important, and like to continue to give myself those moments of importance. Like, if you love this, go do it. If you like this, go do it. Like, give it to myself, right? Because those are gifts that I can give to myself. And one thing that I wanted to do was shoot coverage for the event. And so one thing is I was like, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot the fuck out of this event. But I wasn't going to shoot photo. I was going to focus just on video. And I did. And the exciting thing is I would start sharing clips with you guys right now, but I want to save that for a big release. So I'm going to be releasing a YouTube video of Moon Eyes, hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so, because there is a shit ton of clips that I shot. So I need to go through, color grade them, get them all correct, and then get it up. So once that is up, I will be posting. Of course, I'll let you guys know, but I'll be posting it on my personal page. I might share it on the podcast one. Actually, I probably will share it on the podcast one because, I mean, I'm talking to you guys about it right now. But fuck, man, it was so good. And it felt so incredible to do something that I wanted to do. And I remember telling the homies, like, yo, if I fall back, just let me do my thing. Because I'm at the same time, I'm enjoying myself and I'm going to be with you guys, but I'm also working too. Because this is something I'm passionate about. It has to do with my career. It's something that I want to continue to do. And I need to put more time into that. And I realize that I haven't, I have this equipment, I have these things, but I haven't been using them properly the way I should be, the way I was intending to use them. And I was getting kind of down on myself about it. But I said, you know what? Instead of feeling that way, I need to just make a fucking change. I need to just shut the fuck up and make a change. Because if I don't do that, no one else is going to be able to do that for me. So what did I do? Started slamming that record button the entire day. And I shot everything. As I started to do it more, I was just like, fuck, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like, it feels so fucking good to capture this. And the thing is, I'm going to be able to share what I saw and how I saw it. I'm going to be able to share that with you guys. And it kind of carries on. It carries on through the rest of the day. Because that sort of energy, it carried me. I was fucking exhausted, but I felt so good. I felt so accomplished. And it's been a while since I've been in a situation where I felt like that I really feel like I've accomplished something, like I've done something. And I need to continue doing that. And we all need to pay attention to that shit. Like, what is it that makes you happy, big or small? Go do that. Find moments within moments. Because that's where the key shit's at, right? So for this, yeah, I was going to Moon Eyes. I was going to be with the homies. But there was a moment within that moment, which is me getting to set up my camera rig and that I was going to be shooting at the same time. That I was going to get to laugh and chill and be with the homies. And also, it was really tight to have their support. It was really fucking tight to have their support because a lot of them haven't seen me work like professionally. Some of them have had the opportunity to see me work professionally, but a lot of them haven't. So when they see my rig and they see me geared up and I'm doing my thing, they're like, yo, dude, like this is fucking nuts. This is the shit that you've done for years. And granted, you know, I've done it for a really long time. I just never show it because a lot of the work that I've done, especially when it comes to this type of shit, has been more on the corporate side. So those things just kind of get released and it's outside of my hands. I don't think about it. It's just a job. It's something that I do and it gets tossed out. It's not something that I think immediately, oh, I'm going to share it to my Instagram or something like that. That's not what I do. A lot of my work I do not share on my Instagram, but that type of shit is going to change. And I'll get to that a little bit later in this episode, but that type of shit is going to change because I'm really trying to push and find, again, the moments within the moments, because that's where everything lies for me, is finding that kind of, you know, excavating a little bit and just saying, okay, cool, this is it. This is what I was looking for. And seeing familiar faces and meeting some new ones. You know, I got to meet a couple, you know, one guy that I really look up to within the lowriding community. And just getting to shake his hand, like it was cool because he saw me wearing his t-shirt and we had run across each other 2 times. And on the second time, that's where we interacted a little bit more, but it was fucking incredible, man. Like just that moment. I don't have too many people that I really look up to because of what they do, the shit that they've created. Like I don't really have that. Like as far as like getting starstruck type of shit, I don't really have that. Like I've met people before throughout my life, shaken some pretty amazing hands, and it still feels like they're a regular person. And granted, you know, meeting this person on Saturday, it was still like that. Like it was like a normal thing, but I got to share with this person like, yo, dude, I really look up to you and I love what you do. You, your boys, your entire team, like I fuck with you guys so heavy. Everything that y'all stand for, I'm about it. And I was letting him know like, yo, like starting this week, I got a bunch of shit from your guys' show, which was basically the guys from Genocide. And I'm like, I have a bunch of shit that I'm gonna be posting over the next few weeks, starting this week, like from the Pink Motel. And he's like, dude, post that shit. Tag me right away. Let me know what's up. So I have a series specifically for his car that's going to be going up. And his IG is Thrashtastic. And I fuck with him super heavy. I do, I'm telling you everything about him. Just the way he runs his business, the way he fucks with all this shit, the way cars and the family, the way all of that is kind of put out into the world. I'm like, God damn, dude, these motherfuckers got it right. They got it right. And this is what I'm talking about. Like I've talked about in the past, right? Like the camaraderie, the family, the love, the passion that comes from lowriding is so fucking different compared to the way that it is on the Japanese side. It's so fucking different. And granted, you know, there's clubs and shit like that in Japan that go really hard and they stay mad tight knit. But out here, it's like dumb shit. It's not the same. That's why you don't see, you know, you see crews falling out. You see things happening like that. And it's sad because those ideals and those things start to go away. And what's going to happen? You don't have that shit to pass down. But all of these fools on this side, on the classic side, that shit means something, dude. Like your team, your placa, that shit means something. You rock that shit on your back. And it's forever type of shit. So again, having the opportunity to shake hands, to meet certain people made Saturday that much more important to me. It made it that much more special. Because that's the shit that matters. That's the shit that really fucking matters. Nothing else matters. And throughout the rest of the day, it made me feel that much more love, that much more, how would you say? I don't even know really what the word is, but I felt closer to the people that were with me. I did. The hugs, as if they already didn't mean a lot, they meant more. The I love yous meant more. The I'll see you soons meant more. because I won't forget that shit. I mean, dude, I recall every Moon Knights, but I remember them all for different reasons. And I have some wild stories from Moon Knights, but it was really fucking great. And honestly, I can't wait for next year. I know this one just passed, but fuck, I can't wait for next year. I really can't. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to be career-wise. I don't know where I'm going to be as a person. I don't know what people are going to roll with me. You know, everything could change in the best possible way. So it's kind of a beautiful thing to think about it that way. Not like to think about it, fuck, who knows what's going to happen. Like, nah, you can think positive about the future. You just can't get wrapped up in it because you never know what's going to happen. You can't plan too heavy, you know? I think that's one thing I've come to learn is like life has a different plan for you. No matter what you think the plan is, no matter what the fuck you do, man, sometimes life just turns around and it's like, hey, what about this? What about this? You remember how you thought it was going to be this? Or what about this? And that's, you got to just kind of stay on your toes. You know what I mean? You got to stay on your toes. But at the same time, it's kind of like what Nipsey said, right? You got to keep it 10 toes down. I think I remember when I heard that for the first time, I was like, fuck, dude. I think for me, the way I translate 10 toes down is staying grounded, staying in the right now. Your feet are down in that moment. You're right then and there. What's around you is all you can handle. So I think it kind of creates this cycle for me. And it always comes back to, especially the last couple of days, it's come back to is grounding. And, you know, even after Moon Eyes, I got to spend some time with someone that I really love, that I really care for. And, you know, I got home, took care of mom, did what I had to do. And then I was able to step away for a little bit again, come back, do what I had to do. But even those moments with this person were really they were even more special than they were before. So it's this constant reminder of just having to take everything and not take shit for granted. I think I've endured and seen enough up to this point in my life where I have to understand that. Again, even the smallest of moments are beautiful, and I got to run with that shit. So moving up through the weekend and even jamming up to yesterday. You know, yesterday was 240 Tuesday, and that was something I wanted to do for myself. It wasn't even about the cars. It was for myself. Sometimes I kind of forget, like I jump in the queue, I dip out and I forget because I just think I'm going to go hang out with friends, but it means so much more. The conversation, the love, everything that gets shared in that night, it's so fucking great. And that basically what that shows me is just to continue to keep doing things for myself, to continue to put myself first, my wants, my needs, everything like that. To pay attention to it and to not ignore it because it's going to feed me. It feeds my soul. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel complete when I get to fuck with people that I really love. And it translated, or not translated, but I guess you can say it kind of rolled over like even into today because I've been, like I was talking about with the whole Moon Eyes thing and like I was talking to Thrash, like, yo, this shit, like the photos I'm be posting, I've had them for weeks, y'all. I've literally had them for weeks. The homies that know that I've had these photos for weeks have been giving me shit constantly for weeks. Yo, when the fuck are you gonna post these pictures, dude? You can't just keep this shit. Let this shit show people. Show people what you can do. Show people what you're about. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like I said it on Saturday and I'm going to fucking do it. So today, like a little after 11, I ended up posting the first 3 photos on my personal Instagram. So for those of you guys who want to see them, head over to Rob This Boss. That's ROBTHISBAUS. You can click on, if you can't remember that shit, don't trip. Go over to the Instagram post for this episode and I'll have my tag up in the corner. So click on that. Go check it out. But I have the first 3 photos. All G-Side members, so shouts to fucking Genocide, and all the fools in there. Everybody who holds it down for low riding, everyone who holds it down for the Valley, like they rock that shit like no other, like no fucking other. And granted, there's so many other teams that hold that shit down out there in that entire scene, but there's something about Genocide that I have a lot of love for. Even before I started to put myself in their presence, the amount of love and respect I had for these dudes, I'm like, God damn, man, these fools fucking do it. That's dream shit. That's like having those things that you look up to, right? Like this is one of them. The way people look up to certain people, whether it's like movie star, music, whatever the fuck, these fools and the team, like the way that they kind of, that presence that they have, that's how I hold them, you know? So I got to share the first 3 and I can't wait to continue sharing. I'm probably going to do, I'm thinking once a week, and I'm pretty sure my page is going to be taken over by lowrider shit. So basically my page isn't going to look like my page anymore. So I'm just giving y'all a heads up, and it's going to take some time to get to that point, but every week that content is getting posted, it's going to be on this side. And I mean, of course, especially with like the video work that I have coming up, more of the photos and stuff that you're going to be seeing, there's going to be a lot more content on the page. And I'm really excited to share that. Because again, I need to start posting what I want to fucking post, right? I don't want to post what people want me to post. I want to post what makes me happy, the shit that brings me joy. And everything that's going to start going onto the page is shit that I really love because it's mine. And I think, and it's like, I know we've talked about this before, dude. Like I've gotten so caught up in the whole social thing and curating so hard where it becomes a major fault. Because it's not that I don't think that anything is good enough to be on there, but I just start to like doubt it in a way, and it ends up not making it. And I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. I have so much work that I've wanted to post, and I just let fall by the wayside. I'm like, dude, this is so wrong. Like, just fucking do it. Fuck what anybody else has to say. Fuck what anyone else thinks. I don't give a shit. I'm sure people are going to look at these photos and be like, wow, he thinks he's a fucking photographer. You know what? Fuck all those motherfuckers out there, dude. Because first of all, not like I got to fucking defend myself, but I will. I'll fucking talk my shit right now. Dude, I started shooting when I was 7 years old on a Canon AE1. Actually, even before that with point and shoots. But an AE1 was my first film camera. I didn't buy that shit yesterday at a fucking thrift store. I didn't pay $1 billion for it. Like, it was a gift. And I carried that gift with me forever. Photography and video have been a major part of my life. And just because I don't share that shit on Instagram doesn't mean that it's not. The same way that, like, I don't share my fucking design work on here doesn't make me, or doesn't mean that I'm not a fucking designer. My portfolio is there. My work is there. And some of that work is still floating out in the fucking universe for some really major clientele, which is amazing. And I'm super fucking blessed and thankful to have had those opportunities. But this type of shit now, whether there's other people on the other end being like, wow, again, wow, he shoots now. Like, wow, this. No. Like, I've been fucking doing that. Don't get that shit twisted. So you could sit your happy ass down and shut the fuck up. Because that's the whole thing. I'm not going to have that shit anymore. I don't give a fuck about judgment. I don't give a fuck about any of that. This whole thing, the stuff that I want to do right now is for me and for me alone. I don't care if fucking one person likes it. I don't care if nobody likes it. That's not what I'm doing it for. I think the whole part of what these platforms have done is they've really fucked shit up for people. Because again, I know for myself it has. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening right now, you probably think the same thing. You probably think the same fucking thing. Man, I'm not going to post this photo. It's probably stupid. They're going to make fun of me. Like, no one's going to fuck with it. You know what I mean? But the matter of the fact is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. If it makes you happy and you want to post it and that shit brings a smile to your face, that's what the hell matters, dude. Nothing else fucking matters. Everybody else can jump off a bridge. Like the highest bridge they can find. Because fuck that. Because at the end of the day, you do stuff that makes you happy. You put yourself out there. And if it's not good enough for other people, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's good enough for you. And that's what I started to forget. And that's what has to fucking change. So today was the start of me changing that. And I know, even like the last, I had posted like, what was it? Like a 3 or 4 picture series of myself. And I had combined it with some really dark era, or like, what do you call it? Very dark paintings from very, very different eras. But from all artists that I fuck with, from Caravaggio and so on and so forth. But anyways, that piece, like that made me really happy. And even the other day, I was like, man, that made me super fucking stoked. Like, I need to keep doing this type of shit. So I'm going to start pushing more content on the page. Not for growth, not for anything. Like, I don't care what the fuck happens with it. I just want to show you guys. I want to show you guys the way I see things. Because I haven't. And sometimes I do. I know sometimes I do, right? Like, you'll catch me when I go to certain shows, whatever, especially when it comes to car shit. I post that on my story and I let it go away. Sometimes I save it. Like, it ends up going on, what do you call it? I don't know what the fuck that's just called. Oh, highlights. So sometimes I save them in my highlights sometimes. If I had a lot of pictures or there was a lot of cool shit, then sure enough. Like, G-Side I know is in my highlights. So if you guys are curious about what was there and you kind of want to see everything on a quick, go over to my page and check out the highlight. It's right there. But again, I want to show people. I want to show people the shit that I love. I'm not trying to be over here claiming that I'm this, I'm that. Oh, I'm a fucking photographer. I'm a cinematographer. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not trying to claim any of that. But what I do claim, and I'm really fucking proud of, is that I am a creative. I am a fucking creative. And I've set my foot down and I have made a mark in certain things. And I will continue to do that. Whether people like that shit or not. And if anybody has a fucking problem with it, that's a personal problem. That shit don't have anything to do with me. I do what I do. I went through my schooling, and even before that, I was about it. But I've done my shit, and I've held my ground, and I fucking stood my ground, and I will continue to do so. Why? Because it's not just for me. It's for other creatives out there, too. There's a lot of people that are afraid because of judgment. And fuck that shit, because the judgment don't fucking matter. That's somebody else's opinion. What other people say about you does not concern you. That's the other person's problem. Like, why the fuck is my name in your mouth? That's my whole shit. Like, why the fuck is my name in your mouth? Because your sad ass don't have anything else to talk about? That's some real bitch activities, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's somebody else's problem. Let them handle that shit. Y'all gotta do what makes you happy. So again, for me, if I can hold it down for myself, that gives other creatives the gas to continue to do so. Regardless of the judgment, regardless of the bullshit. Because it doesn't fucking matter. None of that shit matters. What matters is if you took a certain photo and you love it. And you just want to post it. There's nothing wrong with that. It don't matter if it gets 1,000 likes or fucking 1. It don't matter if it gets 10,000 comments or if it gets 1. And even if it's your closest homie being like, yo, that shit's hard. Like, that's it. You just wanted to show people. They don't have to like it. It's the same way I kind of see my car. You know? I built that shit for me. I didn't build it for nobody else. I didn't give a fuck about what anybody had to say. My wheels, the way I set the whole thing up, my interior, all of it. There's all stories to every part of that car. But I did that for me. That's an extension of who I am. People see that shit and they're like, that's Rob's car. There's no doubt about it. There's no questioning that shit. Because I like to feel and think that I am my own person. And when I can create things that are extensions of that, I'm not doing it to please everybody else. I don't care what people think about that. I do it to please myself. When I look at the Q, when I drive the Q, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. It brings me a different kind of joy. And it fills my heart in a different way. And it's the same thing like with my truck. Same thing. It's an extension of who I am. It's a different side of myself. We're all multifaceted. I think people tend to forget that shit. Humans are very complex. We're very simple creatures, but we're also very complex. We can fuck with many different things at the same time. You know what I mean? The same way I can go from like my music. My music's a perfect fucking example of that too. I can go from listening to somebody like Sabrina Claudio going over to fucking Bane. So going from like R&B to hardcore. It can go a bunch of different ways. It doesn't fucking matter. Like I fuck with all of this at the same time. And then from that point, let's say even from hardcore, I'll jump to oldies. And then from oldies, I'll jump to surf rock. And then go all over the place. But I'm entitled to that shit because it makes me happy. So again, me going on this new content journey and just kind of sharing, finally getting to share what I love with you guys is something that I'm really fucking excited about. I really am. From the bottom of my heart. And I hope that for these first 3 photos that have been posted, I hope you guys like them. Comment. Let me know what's up. If you guys like them, fucking share them. Show the world too. Because it's tight. I just want to show you guys what I fuck with. That's it. I want to show you guys what I fuck with and what makes me complete, what makes me whole, what makes my heart beat fast. And seeing things like this and posting things like this is what makes my heart beat fast. This is what I live my life for, to find these moments, to find more of them, and to continue to find them with the people that I love, whether it's my family, whether it's my friends, I can't even say friends really, because I do have some, but a lot of them they're my family. They're my chosen family. They might not be my blood, but goddamn, these motherfuckers are there as if they were. They're even there more than fucking half my blood is. 3/4 of my blood is. Shit. It's really wild. The people that I fuck with, like how down they really are for me. And I hope that they know that shit too, that it goes the exact same way. I'm down for them 110%. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited for this next journey and like this next chapter, because I feel like every week that I get to meet with you guys and talk for a little bit, things get to change. Sometimes they take a turn for the worse in a way, but I always try to find something positive at the same time to share with you guys. Because as bad as things are, you always got to find something good in it. Always. And especially throughout the situation, the way things have been going, I have to do that. I have to fucking do that. You know, going back quick to last week, I got certain news that I wasn't planning on getting. I didn't want to fucking hear ever. But I had a choice the next day. I had a choice right after that to take what I had and run with it. And I'll continue to do that shit until the wheels fall off with everything that I do. The time I get with homie, the time I get with my family, the time I get with the people that I love, I won't ever take any of that shit for granted, ever. And when I do, I gotta ground myself right away. Say, hey, motherfucker, this is it. You only got this one. You're never gonna get it back. You might get something similar, but you're not gonna get this one back. So what are you gonna do? And we all gotta remember that shit. All of us. Big, small, the people around you, don't take it for granted. Because you're never gonna get it back. That exact moment in time, this moment right now, you're never gonna get that shit back. And that's why I always tell you guys every single week that I love you and that I appreciate you and thank you for your time, the energy, the support that you give me, because this is a moment in time that you will never get back. And you're putting it in the presence of this cast. You're putting it in the presence of this energy. So the least that I can do is be honest, open, and candid with you and share something beautiful. And hopefully that you guys can take something from. Because that's what I want to do. I want to give people things. I think one of the biggest things you can do, and one of the guys that I follow on YouTube, a couple people have actually mentioned this, but there's a difference when you live your life in service of others. And I think a part of this podcast is being in service of others. It helps me, but it also helps you guys too. I know a few of you, it definitely has. And I hope to continue to, keep walking on this path and keep making this shit happen, because it means a lot to me. It really does. This podcast is super fucking meaningful. And I know to a lot of people, it's also meaningful. And again, I thank you endlessly. Every single one of you who tune in every single week. Every single week, I really appreciate you. Because even if it's one person that listens, that's one person. That's one fucking person, and I appreciate it. And what I want to finish on, the same way that we finish every week, y'all. The advice that I got for this week, or the quote, I say it's a little bit of both. I mean, it is a quote, but it does have like some weight to it in a sense. But when I read this, I said, yup, that's the one. That's the one for the week. And it's, if it doesn't feel organic, walk away. And if the energy feels off, leave it alone. Once again, if it doesn't feel organic, walk away. And if the energy feels off, then leave it alone. I think that can be interpreted a bunch of different ways, but there's something about allowing the organic to form in your life that makes things so beautiful. It's the same, like, I know I talk about gardening a lot on here, like the whole gardening reference and keeping your garden watered and growing. You keep that shit right. You keep it organic. You just let it do its thing. It will grow on its own. It will do that. If you have to fight it, you have to add certain things and do certain things like that, you're already fucking with the growth and you're stunning it. You're stunning it super heavy. So let that shit do its thing. Let it do its thing. And that goes with people. That goes with your family, everything. If it doesn't feel organic, just walk away from that shit. If you have to fight for it, there's a certain extent. I'm not going to say don't fight for shit that you love, but there's a certain point in time that you have to realize that you've invested enough. And your gut will tell you when that time has passed, when that time has come, where you have to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? Not that you're better than this. It has nothing to do with being better than the situation, but you have to have enough self-love and self-respect to say, you know what? That's enough. The same way, like I saw this funny ass video this morning. There's this dude. He's like a workout fool. And he says like inspirational shit. And like, you know, he'll just kind of push you a certain way. He said, you know, it takes, what is it? Like 1.38 seconds to say hello to somebody. And if they can't tell you hello, they can't take 1.3 seconds out of their life to say hello, then, you know, fuck that shit, walk away. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, I understood that shit. It was funny. It made me laugh. I sent it to a couple homies, but goddamn, dude, I'm like, that's the realness. You shouldn't have to fight that. You shouldn't have to fight that. If you can't just say hello to people and they can't even give you the time of day to respond to a text because they're too busy, I'll tell you right the fuck now, nobody's too busy, dog. Nobody's too fucking busy. I don't care what you got going on, dude. I know some busy motherfuckers. I know some CEOs. I know crazy people that are hella fucking important. And even when I reach out to them, at some fucking point in the day, or at some point, they do reach out. They do reach out. Hey, boom, boom, boom. What's up? Love you. Sending good vibes. Blah, blah, blah. Catch you later. So it's not that hard. You shouldn't have to fight it. And the same thing again, if the energy feels off, leave it alone. Let that shit equalize, you know? Sometimes the water is a little too choppy and you got to step out for a little bit. Let it flatten out, see what's up, and then get back in. But be easy on yourself. And again, if it doesn't feel organic, walk away. And if the energy feels off, then leave it alone. So thank you guys for tuning in this week. I appreciate you, love you, sending you light, good vibes, all the good things, always, 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 always. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, an incredible rest of your week, and an even better weekend. And stay cool, because it's about to be hot as hell, at least out here in SoCal. So it's going to be hot as hell. So all you guys stay cool. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate y'all.